What is up, Slime Bros? My name is Slimebeast, and I am talking about 1999, 1 year, essentially, after I made my first videos about 1999 being DMCA'd off YouTube. For a little bit of background for anybody who didn't see the previous videos, 1999 is a famous creepypasta that was found to have plagiarism in it. And long after that, last year, the original author of the story or the owner of this blog that the story was posted on or whatever DMCA'd YouTube videos out of nowhere with no announcement, no warning, no request that they be taken down. DMCA'd YouTube videos, DMCA'd Reddit posts, DMCA'd websites to take down 1999 to cover up the plagiarism. Now, the claim from the original author, from the original people who posted it, I think the original author and the owner of the blog are probably the same person. After all, the DMCA's, when they were filed, were in the name of Alan Halsford, as if he were the author. Now, that could just be fraud, but I'm going to be a little more forgiving there and say maybe Alan Halsford is just the author of the story. Either he's the author or it was fraud. Take your pick. I'm getting off track. They DMCA'd a bunch of stuff, took it all down to get rid of the plagiarism being on the internet. Now, their claim was the plagiarism wasn't the fault of the original author. Their claim was that somebody else added the plagiarism in later, and that version of the story, got shared around. So they're saying the original author did not add the plagiarism, and somebody else did, a third party. Now, I don't necessarily believe that because the third party who supposedly added the plagiarism, his username is Giant Engineer, and the author of the story is supposedly an engineer. So it just seems a little coincidental that the random person who would be adding plagiarism also has your same vocation, your same job. But that could be totally coincidental. Stranger things have happened. I'm just saying in my gut, I think it probably was the original guy that added the plagiarism. That's my personal opinion. I also think the blog owner is probably... The blog owner's name is Alan Halsford. That's public information. That's not, anything private. It's literally on, his blog. The person who wrote the story that's posted on the blog, person who wrote 1999, is supposedly named Camden Lamont, which sounds like a fucking made-up name, but whatever. I think Camden Lamont is just the name of the narrator in the story, and I think Alan Halsford is probably the real author. That's just my personal opinion. Based on my gut. That's it. And I think Giant Engineer probably was was Alan Halsford, the author of the story, and now that it is discovered that there's plagiarism in the story, they're kind of, backing off of that username and, saying, oh, that was a third party who added stuff. That's my gut feeling. I could be totally wrong, and I probably am. I'm just not a very generous person. Alright, so now let's get into the really, actually damning stuff about this. Now, I wanted to make this video a year later because there was some stuff I discovered in the interim that I didn't really touch on. Now, one thing I did mention is, you see how this is posted on November 14th, 2009? This is supposedly the original post of 1999. This is not true. This is actually a lie. Alan Halsford himself, the people, behind the person behind the people behind the story, has openly said that this is just copy and pasted into an old 2009 post that was completely different. There was a post in 2009 on this blog that was about an entirely different subject. None of the story was here. It was some other post. But in order to file the DMCA's, they copy-pasted the story into an old post and made it look like this was what was originally here in 2009, even though it wasn't. Anyway, I wanted to read through this a little bit, just read you a section of this original, non-plagiarized version of the story. This is the version that they say has no plagiarism in it, and I'm going to show you why exactly I don't believe that. So, yeah, let's take a look at this. So the 1999 story, as it is widely known, contained plagiarism of a video series called Alan Tutorial. This is something you can look up on YouTube. Just search Alan Tutorial. I would suggest you watch it anyway. It's a pretty fun video series, like an ARG-ish kind of thing, but not really an ARG. Like found footage, kind of strange performance art kind of stuff. Anyway, the story ripped off Alan Tutorial and basically had a full video described in the story that Alan Tutorial made, passing it off as a video that the character in 1999 made. No reference to Alan Tutorial, no credit given to him. So yeah, ripped off, stolen. Now, the show that ripped off Alan Tutorial was called Paint with the Soul. So there's a made-up show in the story called Paint with the Soul that plagiarized Alan Tutorial's video series. Now, the plagiarism was removed. The very obvious plagiarism, which was describing a literal episode of the show. So that was removed from this, and this is supposedly the original version that didn't plagiarize Alan Tutorial. Now, here's the problem, though. There is a thing in here, Paint with the Soul episode 10, if I could select it correctly, Boomer! And this is this is the non-plagiarized original version of the story. It still has echoes of Alan Tutorial. It still seems like there's stuff in here from Alan Tutorial. And my question is, if Giant Engineer, a third party, added in the plagiarism about Alan Tutorial, why is there still content in the story that is almost identical to Alan Tutorial? It seems like they just deleted the most obvious plagiarism and left in other stuff that still is plagiarized but not as obviously. You get what I'm saying? Makes me think the original author put in the plagiarism and, then just removed the most obvious part, but didn't remove the part that, is also plagiarized but not as obviously. I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to run the video while I read this to you. Paint with the Soul, Episode 10, Garbage Thrown Away. Paint with the Soul was one of the shows that I Am Real Life and Siggy92 discussed on Neoseeker. I told the police about this, and they informed me that 12 episodes of the show were made and broadcasted between December 5th, 1997 and January 8th, 1998. Exactly as I Am Real Life and Siggy92 described, the episode opened with the cameraman wandering around in a forest. It appeared to be during the evening as it seemed the sun was setting. The cameraman walked along a path until he got to an area where there was a lot of garbage lying in the leaves. The camera looked around at the various wrappers, bottles, bags, and boxes, making sure each item got a few seconds of screen time. Do you understand? The camera then focused on a single area before the man spoke. So, you see what I'm talking about? There still is stuff stolen from Alan Tutorial in this story, it's just not as obvious. So that makes me think, if your quote-unquote original story still looks like Alan Tutorial, it makes me think the direct plagiarism from Alan Tutorial probably was in the original story. I don't know. If somebody can provide a real link to where the story was originally posted and not one that's been faked and admittedly faked, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see where it was originally posted, because as far as I know, that's been deleted. The original post, I think, was, they said it was deleted, the people who posted it up. The person/people. So yeah, that is my 1999, 1 year later update. The story still has plagiarism in it, in my opinion, in my personal subjective opinion. And I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments below. This is not a YouTube interaction kind of thing. I literally want to know, do you guys think that's plagiarism, or do you think I'm overreacting? And if you'd like a more in-depth look at 1999, be sure to check out the Fear Fiction podcast, where myself, Abysme, and Dead Palette read 1999, the original non-plagiarized version, quote-unquote, and gave our thoughts as we went. It's an interesting listen. I'm going to link the videos below. It's in 2 parts. That's it, everybody.